creeps through my window pane. Dreams of stars, now a faint refrain. Coffee brews and thoughts collide in this early morning ride. Wake up world, let's start the day. Insight flows in a bright array. Questions dance like morning dew. In this space, it's me and you. Coffee chats with Melissa. Every cup was a whisper. Conversations open door. Spilling thoughts forevermore. Ideas bubble crisp and bright. Words take flight in morning light. Consult the heart, make it sing. New perspectives on each wing. Another cup of cheer. Every thought becomes so clear. From sea tunes and bubbling streams, waking up to brand new dreams. Coffee chats with Melissa. Every cup was a whisper. Conversation.
You know, I love that freaking song. Good morning, guys. It is Saturday. How are you feeling? How are you doing? How's the week been? It has been a whirlwind for me. If I'm honest, it was the longest and shortest week ever. I don't understand how it can be both, but it was. I think it's because I'm coming into this time where I'm getting ready to go on a trip. I'm going to be going to see my friend Jackie. Somebody tag her. I said her name. Somebody tag her. I didn't even invite her this week, I don't think. I mean, at this point, if she doesn't know where to find me, I think we're in trouble. But I just want to say hi and good morning. And I'm excited, guys. The reason I think my week is going so slow is because I'm just a week away from seeing this lady. Maybe just a smidge over that. On August 3rd, I'm flying to Arizona. I haven't been there in 3 years. Last time I was there, I was celebrating my mother's life. Now I get to go see my friend Jackie and talk emotional women stuff. And maybe we'll meet with some book clubs if you know some. And maybe we'll meet with some businesses if they need it. But honestly, if nothing else, I'm going to meet her by the pool. We might have some tacos. We might have some adult juice boxes. But we are definitely going to be having some stuff to bring back to you guys soon. So I'm excited about that. And I swear, if you've ever been ready for vacation, you know that thing. And workcation, whatever it is, it it's one of those things where you can't wait for it to come, but also, um, yeah, it's just like time's flying. I can't keep up with myself. And then I also can because I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs, going, she's going to come here. I'm going to see her. I'm going to see her in Arizona. We're going to be there. It's so fun. Anyway, let's get back to the topic, okay? Because that's Melissa this week. That's my week. How's yours? Um, while I was sitting there thinking about all the things this week, trying to figure out really how to refocus Melissa, right? It's the last quarter of the year. I am a business of myself, just like you guys might be, right? If you're a solopreneur, if you have something you're trying to build from the ground up as an entrepreneur, you know that you got to get some work done, right? It's a to-do list and it's the action list, and you have to redefine it often. And if you've followed me, then you know this stuff. We've talked about a bit, talked about it a bit. I should slow down. I'm very excited. Um, but here's the thing: I was pouring into my own cup, right? I went into Audible. One of my favorite ways to relax is to listen to biographies, especially if they're read by the author who wrote them. But I love to just listen to stories of people who have found success, their perspectives, their motivational quotes, the things that inspire them, the things that keep them focused. Because, hey, people who have found success might have some tips, right? They might know the way. If you've ever been to Disneyland, I'm going to ask you about your experience because you might know how to find the bathroom super easy. You might know the trick. So I was thinking through that my whole life. Um, I've always tried to absorb the information around me, to learn from the best of the best in the room, right? And just increase the value of the room with every leap. And I take my friends with me whenever possible. So it's not like, hey, bye. I'm done with you guys. I'm out of here. Level up. It is, hey, let's go. I found the secret door. And that's kind of why we're here today. So, if we are just now meeting each other, let me introduce myself officially. I'm Melissa Ann Houston, cultivator of dreams and motivator of human capital. And what that really means is I like to help people figure out how to take their dream and get into the doing, right? It really is this premise of documentation and action. A quote I wrote at 16 and I live by today is victory and victim both start out the same. It's up to you how it ends. And if you really start writing the words out, victory and victim, you will see they start exactly the same. The first four letters are identical. It really truly is up to us how we're going to proceed. You can either learn, you can cry, you could do both, right? You can give up or you can give in to the things that maybe made you weaker and go, okay, I'm going to sit in this and I just like to be in my pouty moment. And guys, I've been pouty. Or you can go, okay, I learned from this. I need to make sure that I don't step on that brick the next time when I play this level again. And you 80s babies know there was no save on Mario, right? If you were playing the OG original Mario, you had to push through. You had to figure it out. They just restarted you over and over again. And so maybe that's where my mindset came from a little bit too, right? Shout out to Nintendo because truthfully, if you didn't have the wherewithal, you were never going to beat the game. Um, if you never learned from your last mistake, you would never successfully complete the level. And so shout out to my gamer people who learned that early. And to those of you who are struggling, hey, we got this. We figured it out. We found a fun way to figure this out in our life. And it doesn't always stay fun, guys, but the tools, the tips, the knowledge base is the same. So let's get into it. If you want to learn more about me, document then act.com is my website. You can go check it out. You can learn about who I am, see some testimonials, look at the coaching packages I have, and just really dive into what it looks like for you to maybe assess what I'm saying. You don't even have to buy, just go contemplate what's on there, right? Because even if you're absorbing data, that's still a step in a plan. And we'll get to that. So, anyway, guys, thank you for coming. Let me say hi to a lot of people before I get into the meat of this today. Chasen, I see you. Crystal, I saw you too. Um, I'm just going to go through here real quick and pop you up on the screen because I want you to say hi and show my friends, hey, hey, hey. And I mean, Jason, you're so happy. You keep forgetting to hit the space bar. I love this so much. If I'm missing a joke, let me know, but I love this so much. Okay. Listen, that song, right? I really love that opening. And if you guys missed it, it's on YouTube. Go check it out. You should follow me there too, maybe. Um, but Aaron Gibson, right? Soul Media Live created that for me as a thank you, as a trade of services, so to speak. I didn't know it was coming until I knew it was there. We talked, right? And he was so amazing at just taking those one or two things that I had on the original that he brought me and just implementing that tweak to make it feel exactly right. And now it really is one of my favorite songs. It's one of those things that I've had people tell me how, jealous they are of it. And I say that with a smile because really jealousy isn't necessary. Aaron does good work for anybody. You can go get your own song. So you should reach out to him if you want one. But genuinely, guys, it's a vibe, right? We're talking about branding. We're talking about building a business, and that's part of my brand. And it's something that while I'm walking down the street, it carries on with me. And it's the whole vibe of what I feel I bring to Saturday morning. And so um, whether it's a video, whether it's your sparkly business card, which I also have, whether it's a fantastic LinkedIn profile, business page, product itself, whatever your thing is, make sure you're just putting in that effort to make it professional. Most of us are on a professional platform here, and so having that extra touch, right? It just sets you apart. If somebody's looking at a coach and we're side by side on YouTube, and I have my own intro song and they don't, it's a small thing, right? And truthfully, it doesn't take much to sit down with Aaron and have it get done. But it's one of those things that really adds to value of the brand. And so I just want to say again, I appreciate that because not only does it add to my brand value, but it absolutely adds to my face value by putting a smile on it every week. So Sajith Kumar absolutely still plays games. So does Aaron. We talk about him sometimes. My favorite game currently is still Fallout 3. I can't go beyond it. I don't play it quite often enough, but if I'm on a console, that's the game I like. Still think Mario 3 is the greatest of all of them, unless we get into the, Mario Kart and we're talking Rainbow Road, then that one might be up for dispute. But whatever. We could get into a whole series. I have them on my game. I have different consoles. I have different ways I play. So yes, James, let's do this. But okay, I'm gonna get focused here. I think they're the same friends. We're talking hi to all the gamers. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, guys. So it's not in the dreaming, it's in the doing. Let's talk about this. Again, I was pouring into my cup, listening to this book. It's a little bit outdated in some ways. Like he's referencing things that maybe happened at the time he wrote the book. I I'm trying to go and see when he wrote it because I really truly didn't even check. But I'm listening in. I know it's a little bit older and it's fine, but it's still Mark Cuban. And truthfully, I joked at one point that I would love to be his second brain. That I would just love to sit in the room he's in and figure out when or what I could add to the conversation at any given point. And I really felt like I could just add to the value. And really, um, if I want to be in the room where he is, I need to start thinking like him, right? We've talked about this. If I wanted to be Minnie Mouse in Disneyland, at Disneyland, I'm still waking up, guys. It's 6 a.m. on the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, okay. Um, but if I wanted to go work for Disney and be the star of the show, Minnie Mouse or Mickey Mouse, whoever you think the star is, I could genuinely create a profile on LinkedIn that would allow me to have polka dots on my LinkedIn profile. It would allow me to have a quote by my favorite character in my byline. It would allow me to talk about my dream in the about section of working for one of the largest brands ever in creation, right? One of those that has become a pillar in my childhood. I don't know about you. Um, I just, you can do it. You can get connected to people who work at Disney. I have hosted somebody who wrote for Disney on my audio show before we ever went into these live events, right? Shout out to the audio crowd. Um, you can go get a job there. It's possible. And if you know what you want and you know what they look for and you know how to make it pop once you get the opportunity, it's not impossible. Every single person on the NFL squad was a dreamer in school saying, I'm going to be a pro football player. And probably everybody in their life said, maybe, maybe. Right. And so let's think through this today, guys. What are you doing about your dream? How often do you do something about it? And most importantly, do you assess before you act? This is a big one, right? The hardest levels ever on Mario are the ones where they move the background, right? Where they're almost chasing you with the screen. You're going to be pushed off if you don't start moving. It's going to make you move forward. And that was always scary for me because I like to kind of assess what's coming. I like to take my time. What's hidden? Did I touch all the bells? Did I touch all the whistles? Did I wiggle all the things that I could wiggle to make sure there's no hidden passages or tunnels anywhere? Am I alone? Do you guys thoroughly go through a game, or do you just kind of, hey, I'm going to check the box and move to the next level? I want 100% completion rate on my profile for the platform. Xbox, PlayStation, doesn't matter. I want to be the leader. It started when I worked in a laundromat and we had video games there, of course, right? While you're doing laundry, you got to have something to do. And so when nobody was there, I had free access to quarters and I had to empty the machines. And so I could just play video games. And when it said Mel, because it only let you have 3 letters, all the way down on both of the machines in the store, I realized, yep, I have a problem. And it never stopped. I'll be honest. I like a completed checklist. I do. It's just who I am. Surprise. So, thinking through this for myself, knowing that I like to put in 100%, knowing that I like to keep pouring into myself from people who are smarter than I am, people who I think have had more success and proven, right? I don't own a basketball team, never have. I have not found the success Mark did. I'm not on the Shark Tank stage yet. Silly. Okay. Anyway, so that book came out in 2011. So it's been 14 years. How could it be relevant today? You ask. Well, I was listening and it was cool. But what I got into was he's really saying a lot of the things I say. And I was like, oh no, chicken, egg. I'm sure he's older. I'm sure he found success first. But is this premise something that just he has? Let's talk about it. So, first things first, he said at the very, very end, we're just summarizing it because you want to read it. Go ahead. It's only 2 hours. Don't start a company unless it's an obsession. We've talked about passion, fun, right? If I were to describe an obsession, passion would be something that I might think of. Hey, do you guys remember that movie, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I know there's a little bit of a delay on LinkedIn and on the feed, and so I'm going to vamp just a bit so you can catch up to my question. But do you remember Who Framed Roger Rabbit? And there was that Jessica Rabbit, gorgeous, beautiful lady. Loved her. My mom actually said I was Jessica Rabbit in a birthday announcement one time. It was great. It was cute. Anyway, there was the alternate version. Do you remember? Where he thought it was Jessica and he's like, oh, whatever. And the character turned around and it was like the scariest version ever. It was like not good. I want to be very respectful, but oh my gosh, I have so many terms I could use, right? Um, it was off-brand Jessica Rabbit. And I was thinking about it and I was like, that obsession. When I think about obsession, it's that lady who's not Jessica, who's chasing him, wants Roger. And if you don't have that kind of passion, if you don't have the kind of passion where you're up for 48 hours straight with your best friends streaming your game and winning the prize, or going to the conventions, getting 4 hours of sleep and then going back to the work, if you don't have it where you show up for free on a Saturday at 6 a.m. and give it away because you know your friends are doing the damn thing and you want to help, maybe you just want to give back to the people who can't afford it. So you're so obsessed that you pay for tools that allow you to give back for free. Things that people charge for, things that I charge for, right? It's an obsession for me to help you. I can't help it. Even if you don't pay me, I will sit here and give it away for free for 2 hours a week so you can still have the access you need. Do you have that obsession about your thing? Just ask yourself. And I'm not judging. This is an assessment point, right? This is me helping you get clear. If you know, be like, yep, check. I got that. Good job, right? High five your neighbor if they have it too. Good job. But if you have an exit strategy, if you're like, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to go ahead and do this. It's not an obsession. The kids who are like, I'm going to play video games all night with my best friend, don't have a backup plan. That's the plan, right? That's it. That's the plan. If you get in their way, they will literally just bend their neck around you. They will ignore you. You can stand in front of the television. They will stand or they'll get up and move to keep eye contact with the screen because they're obsessed. And I'm not different than these people, right? I'm not. And so let's think through this. Hire people who love working there, right? Obvious. If you're going to hire people to help you, please, for the love of God, hire fun and passion before anything else. Anything else. One of my best performers I've ever had work for me had only ever worked at two jobs on the resume that could have been even close to related. One was a customer service role at Dairy Queen, which I happen to have also held in my time way back when. And another was working for a vet, cleaning out cages. And I was like, okay, willing to put in the elbow grease. Has excellent customer service opportunities here because, I could tell by reading the person in front of me, the vibe, the energy, the output, right? This is a very happy person, could easily be plugged into PBS, no training. But then I asked a golden question, and it was one of those things that maybe not everybody would have asked. But as I had worked at Dairy Queen, I said, how did you learn all of the Blizzard combinations? And if you guys have ever worked at Dairy Queen, you know there's quite a few different ways you can mix some stuff, right? It's ice cream, guys. Everybody likes their own blend of ice cream. And Dairy Queen had a bunch of flavors. They were competing with the 31 flavors brand, Baskin Robbins. I also worked for them in my time. I have an obsession with ice cream. But so like that's a good question, right? How did you learn those things? How long did it take you? What was your trick? And the reason I ask this is because the company I'm hiring for now, the one I'm running the retail environment for, is very diverse. There are so many ways you can mix and match your flavor, so to speak. And so being able to quickly learn how to assess the customer, their needs, the product, know the product, get into it. How, right? Because I needed somebody hungry to do the thing. And she basically gave me the secret, which I'm not going to tell too much, but she may have studied after hours. And I was like, who in the heck goes and studies after hours? But the person who's obsessed, the person who wants to be the best, even if the best just means I don't have to ask you anymore for your help. Maybe I want to be self sufficient. That desire to be the best means you will know your product, right? And so I love that. And if you hire people who just have that obsession to be the best, that passion to top the scoreboard, the fun in the game of trying and failing and doing it again, the fun and failing, right? Because video games, even when you lose, having that screen restart, it's fun. Here we go. Let's do it again. Or we'd give up. Same with business. Do you know how hard it is to be in business? Most of you do. Say hi, tell them, yeah, it's hard sometimes. Just it is. And if people are telling you it's easy, I would love to talk about line two because I bet you they don't even need one. They already have stability and support, and they're not going to have to go hungry. There are others who have to make the sale to eat, right? And there is a difference there. And so if you want it and you're hungry and you're building from scratch, it gets hard sometimes. It does, because even if you get the sale, you're mad you didn't close two. If you're hungry, if you're obsessed, even if you made your customer happy, you're wishing you had more. You're wishing you could have done more for the next guy. You're wishing you could have made one more call to get that contract closed before you went home on Friday. There are obsessed leaders who get pulled out of the office from their spouses because they're like, hey, remember me? You used to be obsessed about me too. Come back. And guys, that's something to contemplate, right? And I think there should be balance. There should be balance, and don't you dare let that get loose. Because truthfully, in the Venn diagram of your life, nothing should be 100% focused. There should be a balance of fun and play and family and friends, all of it, right? Old obsessions, new obsessions, growth opportunities, time for people to insert new data. Listening to Mark Cuban gives me an opportunity to learn something I hadn't thought of and share it with others, right? And so think about that. The other thing, sales cures all. I've seen so many founders who are like, oh, is me, the sky is falling, nobody's doing anything. I don't like the salesperson. I can't stand this place anymore. What is this all about? And then boom, the contract signed. Okay, I love this job. That's okay, guys. To try to mitigate the doom of sales not working, you need to assess and get some foundational steps built in, get a repeated to-do list with protected time to do the things you absolutely have to do, and that can get hard. So let's talk about those things, but these are the things Mark Cuban says to watch out for as a startup, right? Let's get into part 2 of this list. Know your core competencies and pay up for them. If you have a business of apples, let's just say apples, right? Um, I don't know why, but it was the first flashcard that popped in the head. Maybe I was in the alphabet. I don't know. ABC is a business. Let's talk about apples. If you know apples and you're going to expand a business on apples, the first thing you need to do is hire somebody who knows either more about apples than you, or if you're the absolute end all be all knowledge base in this industry, you need to find somebody who is equally yoked, right? Equally qualified to do their part of that. I don't care if it's shining the apples, picking the apples, shipping the apples, whatever you do, you find the best. You focus on those core competencies first, the things you absolutely have to have, the pillars. You do not build a house from the kitchen cabinets out. I'm not say that. You don't build the house from the kitchen cabinets out. You build the house from the foundation. You get that concrete built. You make sure the forms are there. You make sure the measurements are right. Hopefully you measure twice, cut once, right? And you pay for the foundation first. Everything else comes later. Think about this in business. What is your foundation? What is your core competency? How do you execute them? And who do you pay to do the other stuff? Whatever the other stuff is for you. It might be the same thing. Maybe you need to get back in sales because actually you're really good at what you do, but you're better at sales now that it's built. And you want other people to keep up with the phone calls and the emails and the marketing and the whatever. That's okay. Forget expensive perks. He says, no espresso machine. Now, I looked it up. The book was written in 2011. Back then, it was all the rage to get a new machine in the office. I remember being excited about Jean Day. It was different. So let's just keep that in mind. But let's be honest, how many of those expensive things do you need to start? Because a lot of people will tell you you need a degree in business. You need to have a building. You need to have a really nice desk and an office space and all of this stuff. You need to have a staff or whatever. If I had to tell you what you need to get a business done today, you need a cell phone. Very minimum starting point. You need a cell phone. A working cell phone with service gives you internet, it gives you tools, tons of access to apps that can be free to use. All you need is a cell phone and that other stuff, that passion obsession thing, right? Like, let's pretend we have everything on list one, that first graph, and we're here now. So we're not doing expensive perks. We don't need the espresso machine today. We don't need a $10,000 computer set up with all the monitors and all the touchy screens and all the things, right? But we do need a cell phone. It says use open offices. I'm torn on this, right? Because again, written in 2011, that's a great concept. There was something fantastic about being at a staffing firm with a ton of team around. You could always hear if somebody's job was ending next to you. So if so-and-so was ending a job on Friday and needed a new role by Monday because unemployment and all the stuff, if you're a recruiter or staffing, you understand. You have to get them back to work. And so it was easier if I could hear so-and-so's person was leaving a company and needed to be placed, and I just got a new job that they could go to work at. It was wonderful to kind of be nosy, right? Overhearing. As somebody who's also neurodivergent a bit, a little bit spicy, hard to focus, ADHD moments, I hated it so much. The value for me was totally offset by the noise. We had a whiteboard that had open roles. We had a whiteboard that we would put these names on after you got off the call because not everybody had to listen all the time. That wasn't a good plan either. So we had a whiteboard where we would just put Jackie Hallbird's ready to go to work on this date. We might put admin behind her name because that's the role she's looking for. We might put welder behind Felipe if he's welding at one company but getting ready to be let go of his temporary assignment, right? And so having that whiteboard, why did I need to listen to all these other people talk? Do you know how hard it is to almost want to monitor but also be focused on the conversation in front of you? And then you have people like me. I'm loud, I'm funny, we laugh. I'm very disturbing when you're on a call with a new client, maybe you're marketing to and saying, hey, we don't have an admin role. So let me call my customers who usually hire us for those things and see if they need a Jackie. Let's do outbound marketing. So I did all of that, right? But those open offices actually negated some of my benefit. When I worked alone, when I was able to be moved because I was promoted, I got my own office space. I did fantastic. I actually got to the point where I would close my office door. I would shut off the light in my office to tell them I am in do not disturb mode because I genuinely needed to just be focused. And for some reason, it worked better that way. So I share that because it is on his list, but I do not agree with it. However, it works for you, but please make sure you're being aware of what your team needs. And everybody works differently, and one size doesn't fit all. But as in a startup, you don't need extra office spaces. Everybody doesn't need a four corner office, and I agree with that. But can you work in separate spaces? Sure. Can you go to the park and work in the same space and still be separate? Sure. Will you let them work remotely? Listen, if you're an entrepreneur, ask yourself what kind of boss you want to be. It's cool if you want to share. Once you move from solopreneur to entrepreneur, just know overhead goes way up with a brick and mortar building, liability, insurances, fire extinguishers, and all of these small little nuanced things you don't think about. So really plan. Use technology you understand. He referenced Vista. So I knew it was an older book when I was listening in and I giggled. But he said, if you know Apple, use Apple. If you know Vista, contemplate why and then use it. And so think about what you know. It doesn't have to be everybody's choice, but if you're really good in Canva, use Canva. If you're really good in PowerPoint, you can use PowerPoint as Canva. It has tools. It's not as like savvy and suave, in my opinion, at all. Same concepts, guys. And so use the tools you know. You could go into your phone and use the little edit thing. You could go to Facebook or TikTok or Instagram and use it there and save the photo and then take it other places. Use what you know. Um, don't do more than you understand either. You don't have to, right? Don't be intimidated that, oh my gosh, Melissa said I have to have a video. I didn't say you had to have a video. I said it adds value to my brand to have one. But if I was just starting out like I was in 2015, I had zero. I have closed five-figure deals with zero video. Now that I'm on YouTube, there's more value for me. So think about the technology you understand. As I've grown through my business, I've added understanding. I've gone to YouTube. I've talked to others. I've traded services. I don't even like to pay for services right away. I am a salesperson. That's where I started, door to door, as a matter of fact. And then I went to telemarketing. Long before I was ever leading businesses and doing sales and marketing from the top, I did it at your doorstep and on your cell phone, on your house phone. House phone. And really, if you think about it, it was a slow progression for me. It doesn't have to be big for you, but you can barter, you can trade, you can talk to others. 15 minutes for free on LinkedIn is something everybody is almost expected to offer. Coffee chats are a ripple that is far beyond my show. It's a term everybody understands. It's a business term, right? Let's have a coffee chat. Let's grab some coffee, 15 minutes, just enough to drink a cup. Let's tap into this business thing and check in with each other. So, loving to understand technology, right? Um, that's a premise that's always been in me. I'm a nerd. I grew up on computers. I was the first generation of computer lab in elementary school. And I've always wanted to learn. When I got my first house, I wanted a computer. AOL was giving out 1,045 hours for free at every grocery store near you, hanging on a little disc in the aisle. And you would remember. And it is something that when I bought my computer, I built it from scratch at Fry's Electronics. I went in, got an e-machine, and just started adding extra pieces until it was everything I wanted. I did that because that was who I was, right? And I understood it because I built it from the ground up. I knew what I was putting together because I made them teach me at the store. I didn't want something that was pre-created because I wouldn't understand what they did to make the little box do the zoomy zooms, right? But when I said, hey, I want to build a computer, this is what I'm going to do on my computer, and really was just playing pogo.com on AOL back then. Shout out to them. Uh, but I told them and they helped me build it. And then I went to my grandma's house and I put the computer parts together in front of her. And she was like, don't shock yourself. Oh, don't get electrocuted. It wasn't even plugged in, guys. Right. And so use the level you know, but don't be scared to teach others. I showed my grandma what I was doing and she was so impressed. And I was proud to get my gold star. I also was really excited to be able to work on it in front of her and show her too. And so anyway, I digress. Use the technology you understand. Keep learning. You use YouTube University. Do it. It's free. LinkedIn is free. Chasen, podcasts are free. I listen to a podcast all the time. If I'm in my retail store, one headphone is always on with a podcast. If I get busy, I can quickly pause it. When I'm not busy, when I'm just doing my stuff and moving my hands and keeping it clean and doing that stuff, I'm listening and I'm learning things far beyond my knowledge. When I started in retail after 20 years of not being in a retail store, I went and I listened to retail stuff. I listened to Target talk about how they changed their lineup. I listened to businesses talk about the retail and forecasting and what's to be expected in manufacturing and imports and exports. And I listened to a podcast held by the company we have. Um, it's really nice because they actually talk about motorcycles. I work in a retail store that services motorcyclists. I don't ride. I know some, don't know a lot. I was around, but not on a bike. And so for me, listening to them talk about the industry, talk about what's coming, talk about the events and the races and who's doing well, it helps me talk to customers, right? And if you guys look in your industry, your passions, your obsessions, and you just keep feeding from that stuff, not only can you start one for free, but you can listen to them for free most often. And so garner that knowledge, take it, it's free. Keep the organization flat. This was something that he said, and I agree with. The lower your overhead, the more you can shift, guys. When my children leave the house, I have four kids that I helped raise. Two are biologically mine. Two are my stepchildren, my extra bonus children, and that they were part of all of it, right? Um, and so I used to joke that when they all move out, the first thing I'm doing is going on a cruise to relax and unwind and take a mom trip. And I joke that my husband may or may not be allowed to come with me. It depends on if he's being good. And the kids laughed. But truthfully, I always knew that when the kids left, I didn't want a lot of overhead. I wanted kind of a backpack mindset where I wasn't, I wanted to be nomadic. Not that I wasn't anchored in somewhere. Of course, I wanted a house to come back to and flop into and do laundry and plan the next trip. But at the same time, I don't want a lot of overhead because I want to be fluid. And that's something that a lot of businesses forget to do. If you have your pennies, every time you earn $10 in your business, you invest $10. You're not ready to say yes to the opportunity that requires that $10 when another business says, hey, why don't we partner and all I want from you is $10 to do so? And you're like, oh, I don't have $10. And you miss an opportunity because you never put that $10 away after you earned it. And I'm using a small amount, right? But truthfully, there's a lot of business opportunities that are lost because the investment opportunity isn't there at the moment. So flatter or the lower cost you have in an organization, the easier it is to grow the stockpiles as you earn income and you can then invest. I really like a quick model of 30-30-30 with 10% being fluid, 30 to you, 30 to the business, and 30 into savings, right? Reinvested. Or wait, let me hold on. 30 to the business as the solopreneur, 30 into the bank, and 30 reinvested. So your technology, whatever, then can be 30% of that. But You want to have that other 10%. Maybe you need that extra cherry on top to hit that investment, right? Maybe StreamYard, for example, I had to pay for that. Maybe I wanted to take an extra 10% of what was left over and put it on top so I could make StreamYard an investment. Great. That's an example. So if you earn a dollar, 30% should be in savings. 30% can be invested to go buy whatever made that dollar possible in the first place. If you buy, sell bottled water for a dollar, take that dollar and reinvest, or 30%. I can't even talk, 30 cents and go reinvest it in more water, right? Keep going, guys. 30, 30, 30. Well, go back to the other episode where I explained it without being a mess. Keep it flat though. Keep your expenses low. Try to keep it in house as much as possible. Try not to spend. The more you save, the more you can spend later when it really matters. And then never spend on swag. This is something that I was like, what, dude? What are you talking about? I love swag. I love swag. I like to receive swag. I like to get it when I go to those events. What do you mean? So again, I was like, I don't know if I agree with him. And then he made the comment, you guys send me polo shirts with your brand on it. And I was like, oh, oh no. I would never send Mark Cuban a polo shirt with Melissa Houston Coaching and Consulting's logo on the front. That's not the kind of swag I would send at all. And honestly, if I was going to give anything, I would make it useful in a way that doesn't make him promote me constantly. Maybe a power bank that he brings with him on business trips that will sit open when he's sharing his power bank because everybody forgets their charger. That's smart money, right? Something that they can see my brand. When I think about giving them something, it better be so useful they can't put it down. They need to be obsessed with the swag or it's not worth it. They need to be passionate about it or it needs to be fun. When I look at the shirts that people wear, those are the things I see most. When I think about a Melissa shirt, I'll be honest, I don't care what's on it first. If I had to shop for a shirt and I really had like 2 seconds to do it, the first thing I would do is just run my hands down the rack. I would just let my fingers gently touch every shirt until I felt something I liked. Then I wouldn't care about it unless except the style. I'd like a lower cut shirt because I don't like to feel the collar touch my neck. It feels too restrictive. And so I want a V-neck or I want a lower scoop neck. I want a tank top. So from touch, then I'm looking at style. After that, then the color and the message and whatever matters. But I would never want you to buy my shirt for me, right? That's the hard part, is because I won't wear something that's not soft. I won't wear something that's restrictive. And that's hard. So when you think about swag, think about something they can become obsessed with that everybody could use, something they would carry with them. So that way, if they're in that meeting, that moment where other business people might be standing around, if I pull out a power bank with Lauren Sermon recruiting or whatever on it, right? You're going to go, oh, wow, you have a power bank. Can I use it? And then, oh, that's pretty. I like that pink. What is that? And I'm like, oh, that's Lauren. Let me tell you about Lauren, right? Think through those things. Moving on. Sorry, guys, am I boring you? Are you awake? Let me know. I see some of your comments here, and I love you for those comments. I don't want anybody to like fall asleep here, but I really just felt like a lot of this sounds like me sometimes. Some of the stuff we've talked about, even my friends. Time is more valuable than money. This is for success in general. Maybe you're not an entrepreneur, and if you stayed through this, even though you don't have a business, thanks. I'm glad you're invested. Okay. But the mantras for success, and this applies to any kind of success. So I want you to think through this for your version of success. Time is more valuable than money. It is absolutely true because money can be made by anybody. Time is not something we can replicate. We can't make more of it, right? And that's how it works. Supply and demand. If there's less of it, it's more valuable. That's how that works. Commit random acts of kindness. Guys, this comes back to coffee chats. It comes back to whether it's 15 minutes, whether it's 2 hours, whether it's calling somebody and saying, hey, you've been on my mind. Whether it's paying it forward. I've had people gift my coaching to others. They're like, I had such an amazing time with you. I'd like to sign my friend up. Okay, that's cool, right? It could be paying for the coffee behind you today. It could be anything. You could go leave a nice flower on the mailbox. I don't know, whatever. Figure it out. It's not hard. What's hard is doing it the first time, like just setting aside the time to be kind, right? My mom, her favorite random act of kindness, and this is somebody who actually created this belief system for me long before I heard it from Mark. Um, she loved to do it, and she always said she wanted to find the 5-year-old and the 75-year-old in the room and talk to them, the ones that were silently kind of pushed to the side and maybe forgotten. She always made a kid feel valued. She always made sure their face lit up. She always had something in her purse for them. Even when she was homeless, she always had like one candy, one of those mints you might get after dinner or something. She would always have one individual. And guys, my mom's heart was always in the right place, right? And so even when she had nothing, she still tried. And I hope that I never lose that, right? Because as we get to be more successful, it's easy to be distracted. It's easy to lose focus. Like I said, this week was both long and short. I don't even know how we're here. Thursday, I was panicking about having to wake up at 4 a.m. for Saturday's show, and I was like, "Wait, it's Thursday." But I also posted early this week, right? And the show was up. So anyway, figure out your balance. Set a little alarm in your phone. Random act of kindness. Next one is his, not mine. It says no balls, no baby. And he said he heard it at a table where he asked the dealer if he should hit or whatever, right? And that's what the dealer said. And really, what he's saying is if you have everything all together, if you know you've prepped and now it's go time, it's either go time or it's not, right? If you don't do it, it's never going to happen. If you don't procreate, there are no babies, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. But you have to put in the work to get some kind of outcome, is I guess the premise. And so we're just going to move on. Work hard, play hard. Truthfully, that's another balance in the Venn diagram of life. You have to make sure that you take care of you. If it's all work and no play, you've heard it, right? Burnout is a thing we cover a lot on the platform. It's a thing that I have felt in my own life. It's part of the reason I went into coaching and left the world I was working for. It was a great setup. I was in a position to really grow within an organization that's still thriving today and be at the top right below the owner, having been the foundational hiring person, right? He hired me for that purpose, for a second business of his. However, I was tired. I was burnt out. I was overwhelmed. My family was going through a lot. We had multiple households, multiple states, multiple children, reacclimating. If you've ever had to share custody, even just switching weekends can be hard on the kids. Two different rules, two different houses, two different timelines in their life, right? And so I was just trying to keep up with it all. Plus, I was volunteering for another business that this owner had and started. It was his third at the time. And so my son was the mascot inside the suit. I was really just running myself ragged and I burned out and I forgot to play. I would make sure the kids played. We would go and do picnic lunches in the park, and I would make sure we did arts and crafts. But as a teacher who would set up a classroom, I can tell you the teacher never gets to paint. Like I wasn't a teacher, but that's what it felt like, right? And so if you've been a teacher, guys, arts and crafts day is just like cleanup day for you. It's just set up and clean up, and then you get to see their work, but you don't get to play. And so even then, so be careful. Make sure you let the house be messy. Paint anyway. Paint anyway. Find the balance, right? You can clean hard after you're done painting too. Don't let fear be a roadblock. Guys, again, fun and passion. If you know a toddler in your life, you know there is no fear. They're just excited and they're just going to go and they don't even think about gravity. And so, um, obviously, be safe, right? Think through the fall, think through the risk, but don't let it stop you. Wear a seatbelt, but drive the car. Wear a helmet, but ride the bike. Start a business, but get insurance. Form an LLC to protect your personal assets. Um, Learn that if you have built it for another business, you can do it for you. Right? Because that was Melissa's big moment. I'm talking about myself in the third person like a weirdo. But truthfully, I was sitting there thinking about my work experience and my ability to find it. When I was young, I didn't have a lot growing up, and so I was always looking to make allowance or do a side hustle or help the neighbor or clean a yard or any of it, right? And so I was always word of mouth, just asking for what I wanted. I would say I'd babysit for you, I'll clean, do you need help? And I got it. One of the jobs I had my best friend and I during summer, we would go to a small little car dealership. It was a used car lot. They probably had 50 to 100 cars at any given time. And every time it rained in Arizona during monsoon season, which is about this time of year it gets started, um, we got to go wash the cars and we would get $5 a car. It added up really fast in the summer, guys. Think through that. And, you know, I got a suntan. I got to wear whatever I wanted to wash. So I would just go in my bathing suit. We had the hose, we were cleaning, whatever. I didn't think through their marketing at the time. It was terrible to really think back. But for me, it was my hustle. And I made good money and I got a suntan and me and my friend got to hang out all day. My friend and I, right? Um, Another one I had was cleaning out on used appliances. There was a guy named John who was a friend of our family and he had a used appliance store and he would go pick them up, take the appliances, the old ones away and put the new ones in for the customers, but then he would try to fix the old ones and resell them at a very decent price. I would clean them out. I would take the drums out of the washing machines and I would vacuum and scrub them and do the things and put them all back together. And I made like $25 a machine or something like that, 15 to $25 a machine, depending on the age. I was 15 in the summer, making money, listening to music all day, getting my sunshine. I never really tanned, I'll be honest. I tried so hard. But guys, don't be scared to have them say no. That's the worst that could happen. When I knocked on your door to ask you if you wanted to buy a newspaper, the worst thing you could say is, don't knock on my door. Okay. The likelihood of me knocking on the door again in my lifetime was low anyway. So, okay. And then move to the next door. Don't stop driving to Disneyland just because the road's closed. Go one lane over, right? Go 1 mile down, then up, then back. Don't let it stop you. Always expect the unexpected. Guys, it's life. Life be life in, right? I mean, truth be told, have you ever just not had life? Tires go flat. People get sick. Layoffs happen. You know, your favorite lotion gets discontinued. I don't care what it is. Never expect the status quo to be the status quo. It's not a stagnant thing. We are constantly moving. The earth is always rotating. We are always at risk of failure and success all at the same time. We've said it before on this show that you are one conversation away from changing your life. And that is always true. I don't know what conversation or what the premise will be, but it will change your life. It might be something Mark Cuban said. It might be something Melissa said. It might be something your spouse says. It might be something your boyfriend says. It might be an asteroid from the left we don't see, and it's going to just make none of this here anymore. We have no idea what comes. Now, again, we're not living in fear, but always be ready for whatever comes next because it's going to come. And if you don't think it is, um, remember Netflix put a pause button on your movie for a reason. You're even if you're trying to Netflix and chill, they put the pause button there because lives, right? So think through it. Always be ready. It's okay to yell and be yelled at. One of my favorite parts of this book ever was when Mark Cuban said he likes it when his employees yell at him. And Felipe, I kind of thought of us. I'm not going to lie. I just kind of giggled to myself and I was like, oh, I can't wait to tell Felipe Mark Cuban said this. But the reason is he wants to see the passion in his team. He wants somebody to be as passionate as him. And sometimes his passion will have him going so quickly that he doesn't slow down and he needs somebody to tell him. It's kind of neat. So I'm not saying go yell, but it's okay to show passion in your way. It's okay to be Tigger and bounce up and down if that's what you want. It's okay to scream at the top of your lungs because you've got accepted to your favorite college or got that promotion you were wanting, right? Now, I wouldn't do it in a very quiet library, right? Um, Make sure that the moment's right. Just don't go walking screaming. But if you're in a meeting and it's elevating, and as long as you're staying kind, it's okay to show passion. That's something he said. And I was like, man, I will yell at you. Call me, Mark Cuban, call me. I will yell at you. I'm ready. Uh, Everyone gets down, bounce back quickly. Guys, I get down. I have bad days. I'm just like, I don't want to do it today. I just don't. I'm tired. My body hurts. I have arthritis. It happens. But I'm never not in action. Even rest is an action. And we've talked about that on the show before. Go back to YouTube and watch that show if you haven't. Rest is an action. It's actually required in healing by medical professionals. It is part of a recovery program if you've ever been injured at work. So no matter what got you down, it's okay. Sit on your butt and go, well, there's a lesson there, right? There's a lesson and I need to learn it. And then once I know what it is, let me get back. And sometimes the lesson is you're tired and you need a nap. Sometimes the lesson is you worked really hard and you deserve to not. Sometimes Melissa likes to just lump because believe it or not, I'm an introvert. Introverted. I play a really good extrovert on the internet, but truth be told, I hear all the time I'm not very loud in person. Even when I try to be, they're like, "Hey, do you want me to yell into the microphone for you?" And it sounds like I'm probably loud on the internet, but truthfully, in person, it's not always true. Now, my laughter it can get there. Um, but for me, sometimes when I just go become a blob and watch TV and get quiet, it's because I'm just rejuvenating myself. I'm not necessarily down in a negative way, but I'm down in my power level and I need to rest so I can get my power bar up, right? Shout out to the gamers. Figure out what helps you bounce back. That's the other thing I would say. For me, my obviously laying in bed and resting is a big one. I like that. Rest actually helps when you're tired. But there's certain friends who fill my cup. There's certain uh, oh, hold on, 7 o'clock. There's certain activities that fill my cup and make it easy for me to bounce back. And so definitely figure out what that is for you. Also, because it is 7, I set the alarm because I wanted to let you guys know I will absolutely open up the stage to have you guys join me here. I have a few more slides, but I would love to hear what you think of Mark's take on this. How does it overlap with what you've heard on the show before? What are you feeling for you? Like what came up? Do you have something you're working on and you want to assess with us? And all of that jazz, right? So if you want to join, just message me on LinkedIn. I will go to that place soon and I will send it over. Just not yet because I want to be focused. Also, if we're new friends, can you go to documentthatAct.com? Go check out my website. Also, if you go look for Melissa in Houston on Amazon.com, you're going to find 2 books I was part of. 2 books. I wrote in 2 different books last year. They both became international bestsellers. Yay, us. And you can find my bio on Amazon over there. You can learn more about me, but also you can check out the books. We're going to be in Arizona, like I said, the Emotional Women. We're heading there next month, just like 10 days or something silly, guys. And we can read our chapters to your book clubs if you want. We can come talk to your business about growth on social media and doing it with emotional intelligence and how to do so effectively. We can also talk about communication and all of the good stuff. There's a ton of things we can offer. Message us though. We want to see you if you're in Arizona. Anyway, that's me in a nutshell. Let's get back to the show. Okay, here we go. So getting down, bouncing back quickly. Then it's not whether the glass is half empty or half full. It's who pours the water. I had to sit on this. I really, really, really had to sit on this because first, I love the optimism idea of half empty, half full, right? I really do. The other thing I thought about was something I bought along from, oh, I don't know, one of the decor companies, maybe like a TJ Maxx even or Ross, but it said something about there were 3 tiers like The optimist says the glass is half full. The pessimist says the glass is half empty. And the salesperson talks about the value of ice. And I was like, ooh, I love that, right? Ice can fill that cup and we could just stop the fight. We just assessing the problem and how do we come up to a unique solution everybody can get into. And I was like, oh, that's so good. And so I started thinking about from this perspective, right? Like, who pours the water? And then I thought about those people in my life, those people who may um, pour pour into my cup. And how much do they need to pour for it to be effective? And it could be a small drip, just a kiss on the forehead from your husband or spouse or whomever, a mom, a grandma, somebody in your life who matters that can change the whole day. Just one drip of love, one little something, right? And then there's others who can talk to you for hours and it just never makes a dent. You can go into a therapy office and I'm not downgrading therapy. Go get it if you need it. Go talk to people. I think it's really important. But there are people who can go in and spend 2 hours and never actually have that same kind of effect, right? People come and I say people, but me. I went into an appointment once or a couple of times, different people, and I just never felt that same rejuvenation, that that drip of water in the desert where your tongue is parched and all you want is just a little bit of water, right? And so when I thought about it, it does matter because one drop of water from the sun or love or whatever that is, right, that pours into your cup can really have more benefit on that power bar than somebody who's constantly pouring into you. And so I thought about it, waterboarding versus like that small drop of something that just gives you full stamina. And again, in that gamer mindset mode, just really thinking about yourself as a player on a screen and where is your emotional bar? Where is your life bar? Where is your hunger bar and your tired bar? And, what tools are in your resources? What are you using? And are you using it most effectively? Right? Because sometimes, guys, there would be times where, like, you have a potion and it gives you full health, and I accidentally select the one that would give me full bars of health, but all I needed was the one that gave me just a little drip because I only had a little bit of my bar down, and I just wanted full power to go into the next one. So I used a tool that was way too much for the moment, right? Um, they've talked about like a bazooka instead of a fly swatter kind of mentality. And so think about it's not always how much of it, but it's who and what and how. It's not in the dreaming, it's in the doing. Document, then act, right? You can dream. You can dream all the time. And I really recommend you do because that's where it starts. Your passions are where your brain drifts to when you're not focused on the other stuff. Your body naturally dives into the things it wants and craves. It yearns for stuff. You will feel the pull. You'll sit there and be done with work. And while you're in your car, you're going to get that hankering to go to the gym, to go get ice cream, to go home and hug your spouse, to go check out a new book from the library or Blockbuster or Netflix or whatever it is, right? There's a million ways that once you stop using your brain actively, it will auto fill in what you need. It will give you ideas. And if you have some time, you should set it aside to be in dream mode where you are allowing your brain to do what it wants without any guidance. Figure out how to let it free flow. For me, I really like my brain to think when my hands are busy. When I'm cleaning, I'm dreaming. I don't want to think about where I am. So my brain goes to another destination. It's happened my whole life. And so I use it to my advantage. When I need a business idea, I scrub my tub. When I need to work out a problem for a client and really just think about all the ways we can move forward with it, I clean my kitchen top to bottom. I'll clean out the fridge. I will do something. I will be functionally working on a different problem until my brain solves for it because busy hands don't necessarily need all of that brain power, right? Very rarely do I need to be in my forward thinking brain to scrub. But that action creates it. And then once I know what I'm thinking, after I'm done scrubbing, I go and I write it down and then I create a plan. So we'll get into that a little bit more in a minute, but obviously it's not in the dreaming, it's in the doing. Write that down. Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. It was one of those things where I was like, what? I don't know that I like this at all. I really don't, right? And so then I had to think, well, what did he mean? Let me look. And so I'm going to read to you what he said because I really didn't love the concept, but I didn't want to not quote him because I'm using his thing. So, oh my goodness, let me go back into my notes on this. Coffee chats. Guys, are you still with me? Are you awake? How's the day? I'm going over to LinkedIn in a moment. And so if you want to join me, you'll have to make sure you go over there and tell me you want to join. All right, getting into this, he says, um, boop, 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 almost there. Greed backfires, aim for smart growth. So, working together, happy little pigs in the pen kind of thing. If you're hogging it all, you get cut. And I think there's some truth to that. If you've ever been in a sales pen or in an environment where you're working as a team to get sales done, eventually the top performers are shown because they work as a whole unit and bring the team forward with them, or they seem to be hogging it all and somehow always end up on that closing conversation, even if they didn't do the legwork. And so you can come up with your own terminology, and I really would. I can't say that that one really hit for me either, but let's define it for yourself, right? What is it that is the negative effect in a team environment? If you're building one or if you're working in one, it doesn't matter. It could be a community, it could just be your friends group, it could be whatever you want, your family, I don't care. What does that look like, right? What does success look like for you? What are those things you can't work without? What are your tools? Think through this again, right? The obsession. Do you love working there? Make sure you're one of the first people who loves working there, right? If you're not making sales, let's work on that. That's the first thing you need to do. Income coming in really helps alleviate some of that and opens up the opportunities to work on the other things. Forget paying for too much too fast, right? Find those things you can trade, find those things that are free. Go to YouTube and learn from those people who are putting it out, like me, in their own craft. They may not be coaches on this, but they might be coaches on Salesforce, HubSpot, Canva, LinkedIn. Whatever you need might be out there and you're not even looking. I'm not mad at you, but put it on your to-do list. Isn't it funny we didn't even talk? Like, why isn't it there? Let's just add it. It's so easy to add. We'll figure out the timing later. Put it on the to-do list. Remember, your time is more valuable than money. So the first thing you should do before you even create a to-do list is assess your time. Where is it going? How can you capture some of that back? One of the clients I had been talking with wanted to start a podcast for a long time. And I was like, why don't you? Oh, I just don't have time. I was like, all right, talk me through your week. Come to find out, maybe there was a conversation happening for an hour or two a week with a friend that they wanted to start the podcast with. And I was like, why don't you just record that call? Why don't you use that time? Silly, but effective because it worked. It worked. So, oh, sorry, let me go back here. You guys, get friends who are passionate, get friends who push back. Not everybody should tell you you're always right and doing a great job. And if that's all you're getting, get a second opinion. If I went into the doctor for 20 years in a row and they said you have nothing to ever worry about, I would worry because are you even looking at me? Of course I'm a human. I eat like crap. What do you mean I don't have anything to worry about? We all do. We all do. We should all be monitoring, even if it's just to see if we're maintaining, right? Like, hey, don't worry about it too much, but make sure you keep an eye on, keep eating those green vegetables, keep telling your friends about what you eat because you're doing such a great job. Worry about your neighbors. Like, there's always something else to worry about, right? And so if you're not getting pushback, find a new circle just to make sure. Because even if they say, well, have you thought about it in this way? Hey, let me add this Instagram filter concept perspective just for you to think. Yes, men don't get it done. It really hurts in the long run. And I really hate when I see people not assessing and they're just nodding. And so make sure if nobody's giving you feedback, you seek it out, right? If you're not getting any, get into a different room. because business people, they like to fight. You could have the best idea ever. I swear, if you put Microsoft and Apple and Mark Cuban at the table, they're all going to argue. They're all going to talk, and they might do it respectfully, but they're not going to be soft, and they're really just going to push each other. It is going to be like, how do we make each other better? It's steel sharpening steel. And guys, don't be scared of that. Don't be scared, because the right people will do it. And it doesn't mean negative things. It just means, hey, I care enough to help you win. Remember, it's not in the dreaming, it is in the doing. And something that really resonated for me was this. I was listening to Mark's last two chapters, and Audible, being the cool little app that it is, said, hey, I'm going to start auto playing this other thing. And it went into a book that it thought I would like, which was about sharks. I got to go to it, guys. It was, oh, I don't know, by one of his friends, but this was in it. He said this starting it. And I thought about when I first heard this. And it was actually in a webinar that I got into because of LinkedIn. The founder of booking.com, Jeff Hoffman, was in the room. He was speaking to us in this room very privately. There was maybe 15 people there. I was shocked because this guy is so high value in a room. He has so much knowledge and success behind him, and he's so willing to give back. He's also an Arizona kid, which I really loved learning in that room. And this was written on his dry erase board behind his head. Now, I don't know who first said it. I just know it was first on Jeff Hoffman's board behind him. But when I asked ChatGPT to help me source it, they gave Eric Thomas as the source. And you know what? I believe it. I believe it 100%, because E.T., the hip hop preacher, Eric Thomas, is somebody who has motivated me for as long as I can remember, to be honest. As long as I've been on LinkedIn, E.T. has been in my head. I would start my mornings listening to him, especially back when I was first getting started. And he just had these one-liners that just hit. Everybody wants to be a beast until it's time to do what beasts do. Guys, this very similar, right? Everybody wants to be successful until success looks like work sometimes, right? We've heard it in many ways, but he says you're either a lion or a gazelle. You're either chasing or being chased. You're either selling or buying. There's a truth there, right? You might sit somewhere in between, but you're going to be one or the other. You are either going to be the top of the food chain or not. You're either going to be a target demographic for the people who want to sell or not. Same with your buyers, right? You're going to be the person they want to come to or not. If I wanted to do an experience with my family, go on a trip, I have a plethora of options. I have friends who can help me plan this, right? Jackie does Tripping with Jax. I can call her and say, hey, I want to go on a trip. There's a million ways we could do this. There are tons of family destinations all over the United States and beyond. I could plan a Disney trip. We could go somewhere in the Midwest to like a water park. I know there's a great one. I want to say just outside of Nebraska. My son went with my uncle. There's the Wolf Lodges, right? They do some really cool indoor water parks that are good for everybody. None of that matters though if I don't actually act on it. I could dream. I know who could get it done. I know where to go. But if I never reach out and go, hey, Jackie, when you know who you are and what you want, and you know what makes you happy, and you know what you're obsessed about, and you know what your goals are, and you know why they're your goals, and you know why they matter, you get into action pretty quickly, right? Um, okay, let's be honest. Have you ever had a surprise guest call and say, hey, bestie, I'm 10 minutes from your house. I'm on my way. Hey, kiddo, it's mom. I got dad. We're on our way over to bring you something. And you're like, oh my gosh, I have company coming. So you do this 10-minute dash, 5 minutes to get out of your pajamas, brush your teeth, brush your hair, and make yourself look presentable. And then 5 minutes to tidy up your house because, oh my gosh, I didn't know anybody was coming over. I don't care if you fluff your pillows. Anybody ever do the race? Once you get clear on your goals and you have a deadline, you move. That's just it's an automatic setting we have, guys. Especially as the deadline starts to dwindle. As you see the time clock run down, you start moving more effectively, more quickly. Some of us, right? Especially some of us who might be neurospicy in some way, we actually do better on deadline because it gives us that hyper focused drive we need. We really got to get it done and then we can. Now, if you have a different experience, let me know for sure. And I'm going to go to LinkedIn in a second, drop this link. Clarity is control, guys. You want to get control of your life, get clear. If I could do anything for anybody, and I have a lot of options to provide to customers. Okay. As a coach who has done all the different facets of business I have, as somebody who has worked from the ground up in business, as somebody who kind of approaches it in so many different ways and then does research, there's no problem I don't want to tackle or can't tackle, but the one I want to tackle most is absolutely clarity. And why clarity? Because once you have it, you don't need a ton of help. Once you have clarity, if you know you have a plan, you can then create additional plans, right? Once we figured out a plan together, you learn how to put a plan together. It's easier for you to do in the future. And so if I teach you how to make a plan and I teach you how to get clear on a plan and I teach you to act on a plan, you won't need me anymore. You might want your gold star. You might want to come back with new ideas. You might have new things you do every week. And so that's why you repeat the process. Maybe you need insights in a new way on that thing we've already been working on. Now you're like, yeah, but I leveled up and it's a whole new level and I don't even know how this one works. And what is that magic potion in the corner? And what benefits do I have if I act on that? Right? Okay, cool. I've been on that level. Let me show you. But again, then I'm going to send you back. I'm not always your person. I want to teach you to get clear so you can work without me. And that's not something everybody says all the time, right? But truth is, once you get clarity, you get control of your life. Once you have control of your life, you stay clear or you regain it quickly. Because honestly, sometimes I get confused. Sometimes stuff happens and I'm like, okay, that's that unexpected we're always supposed to plan for. They just threw 3 new balls into my juggling and I was really feeling like I was maxed out with the ones I was already using. Let me pause, get clear, and see how I'm going to effectively approach this now. Hey, look at that. It's me. Guys, the quote, I want you to write it down. If you haven't written it down before, I really would love for you to do it now. Um, this is one of those things where it's up to you. You have the choice of whether you're going to give up or get clear, get into action, or stay where you are. And I'm not pushing anybody to move faster than they're more comfortable than, right? Like if you're a client of mine and you start maybe not showing up, I'll text you, we'll reach out. But at some point, I'm going to just let you do what you need to do because maybe you need to get clear without me. I'm not always the answer for everything, right? And I know that sometimes life happens and you just don't have it in you. I've been there. The reason I am where I am today is because I went into a rest phase, which is kind of funny when you think about rest, finger quotes, right? Because rest for me looked different than what other people might consider rest. I wrote in 2 books with friends while I was resting. They became bestsellers. I tapped into some really emotional stuff while I rested. Um, I took the business that I'm functioning in every day to fourth in the nation. That small little corner of Bellingham, Washington, just being higher on the map, created some top performers, people who have gone on to bigger stores, been promoted to bigger opportunities in my rest phase. I have built this out on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn. I have helped other people, do their businesses in this time. Social media growth, marketing concepts, business plans, teaching the tools they're using to grow. All of that has happened during my rest. When you think about it that way, right? Rest, it comes back to defining it for ourselves. But for me, when I wasn't ready to proceed, what I did was go back and prepare. I wasn't ready to go back to full time coaching nonstop. That's my sole income. I, I'm I wasn't. There's a few reasons, right? And when I assess for me, and I'm going to share because I want you to understand the mindset behind it. One is I'm helping a bunch of people that remind me of who I used to be when I was younger. I look at my old assistant manager, Sam, and I say old, but she's 21, 21, 20, 20, 20. And she's already been promoted to like that was the fourth time when she just got promoted to the bigger store four times in 18 months. There's a ripple there. And it's because she's a gamer. She wants the high score. She is the motivation behind her success. All I did was go, okay, give me your cup. She just kept coming back to the tap going, I'm thirsty, pour more. I'm thirsty, pour more. And I did. Right. But that is something that I'm really enjoying and it's hard not to be part of. I'm also now working with some of my colleagues in this, well, all of them really just in our district. I'm an ambassador for one of our KPIs, our key performance indicators. And I reach out to other stores and I'm talking with them and we're collaborating on their successes as well. That's filling my cup, guys. And it's fun. And the other part of this for me was to get to know the community. I'm not from here. I wasn't raised in Washington. I didn't spend a ton of time here. I mean, I've been here for a while now, but I didn't know anybody. I worked at home. I worked remotely. I spent most of my time talking to Oklahoma customers. And so I decided to work on site here to meet my community. And now I can't go through a grocery store without seeing a face I know. I know that when I have a bike night and I invite all the customers in, it's a nationwide thing they do, but my location, we when they show up, there's 100 people and I know every single face. And we all have had conversations. And I get hugs saying, thanks for the food, mom. And I don't know how many kids have adopted me as their mother. That wasn't my plan. I can tell you that much. But really, guys, I could be upset that I'm not working fully in my craft again yet. Or I could be grateful for the plan that I have executed doing what it did. And I'm not a victim because I had to take a break and do some emotional work and kind of clear my head and become a two-time best-selling author with friends, co-author with friends, right? And I get to go work on the emotional women and I get to do all these things. It's perspective. Everything I've done has redirected me to this point. Even failures I've had have brought me to this win. I learned from my mistakes. I learned what mattered through these trials and tribulations and all the things I've had to experience. And I've helped others do the same. And that's kind of cool for me. That's what motivates me. That is the obsession I have, which is why I know it's coming. It's going to come full circle at some point. The question is how, when, where, why? What will be the primary? It could be emotional women. It could be Komodo. If they tell me, hey, we love what you do and we want you to be a coach to every single retail manager, I'm like, hey, yes, I would. I would. I'd love it. I'm in an industry that allows you to be obsessed about your passion. It is a passion industry. And it happens to be the largest motorsport provider in the United States. I don't mind working for the best. That's okay. That's yeah, I can rest in that. I can play there and I can still do this. Guys, find your fun. Find your passion. Do your thing, right? Ooh, I have a guest. Let's see. Welcome, welcome, friends. You'll have to unmic.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing. I'm kind of excited. This is a fun one. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm just got a lot of stuff going on. Getting ready to celebrate my Michelle's birthday's coming up on Monday, so we're doing something today, and then next weekend's my daughter's engagement party, which I've been very deep into that. So, and then I just
Congrats
sent.
on both of those. Tell Michelle I said happy birthday.
I will, and I just sent Nick my children's book, so that's exciting.
Yay! Can I tell him I read it?
Huh?
Can I tell him I read it?
Yes, you can. You just did.
Okay, I read it. I know. I know. Listen, it is so great. I'm so excited for Felipe. I know he's been kind of having this in the background, and those who listen to our show had hints of it, and he had mentioned it on the other shows he's on. But it was really cool to see it come to fruition. That's a whole documentation in action. But Felipe, that passion, right? Like that obsession, that fun, that get it done mentality. What was that drive for you to get it done?
I mean, so the first time it was because I basically, when my daughter was born, she and my dog Max at the time had bonded very tightly. And I remember one time where I said, "Why don't you take Max outside in the backyard and play a little bit?" And we were watching her from a distance. And then um, when we went out to go get her, she comes running up and she's like, "Oh my God, me and Max Poppy, we got lost and we met all these other animals. And Max was so brave and he got me home." And I'm like, "Okay." I was like, "That's a wild imagination." And I'm like, I mean, actually, that's going to be a children's book. I'm going to write that one day. And I always wanted to, but before Nick came into our lives, I did not consider myself any kind of writer at all. And then I realized that, okay, I'm maybe not a writer, but I'm a storyteller, and I can use that and get people to help me make the writing sound good. But the children's book has been 25 years in the making, basically, and it's something that the story has not changed. I actually have a story about my son and our cat Lucky, and then as I was sitting there thinking about the two stories, a third story popped up about my dog and Storm, which was before Copper, and Storm, ironically, was afraid of storms. And so I'm like, I'm going to write a children's book about the dog that's afraid of storms and what he did every time he heard thunder, and just kind of at the end, there's a little message for the children. So it's one of those things where I've always been passionate about kids. It's something that I've always wanted to write these books and tell the stories of my kids, and now I'm getting the chance to do it. And I'm not going to lie, I love drawing. I've always had a passion for drawing. I drew a lot of the characters in it, but then I realized it'd probably take me like 10 years to actually do the illustration for every page. So I did use AI to take my illustrations, create them, and then make different images of those illustrations on different pages. And that really was a huge time saver. And it allowed me to spend more time on the other things I needed to work on.
I love you did that. AI has become one of my favorite tools. It really has. I'm very selective in how I use it, but honestly, guys, I want to change the screen here just to show you. Today, I was trying to create this from scratch, and I was like, what am I doing? Hey, AI, give me the 12 rules he used for startups. Hey, AI, give me the 12 rules he used for success. And then once they did it, I just removed the background from the image, cropped it in different ways to lay it out so it didn't look so static. It still looked a little static. Did I care? No, guys, you didn't know. It saved me a lot of time. Felipe, to take your custom AI or your image and say, hey, AI, can you help me? I mean, I think back to like when I watched cartoons and how many cells and how many hours it really did take for the original Disney movies to come out. And I couldn't imagine trying to do that in a book. I really couldn't. How long do you think it took you to do the AI image pages? Felipe, did I lose you?
I'm sorry, I was on mute. I kept on talking. No,
I
so
was
what I was,
like, where did he go?
so what I was saying was, it took me a while. I mean, even though it was a time saver as far as overall, it definitely still took time because every time I did it, it wasn't always perfect, and I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted to be, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it right. And one of the things that, for example, what happened was there's a page where Miranda and Max run into a raccoon, and it scares them, right? Well, the raccoon has a scary look on the face. I wanted Max to have a scary look on his face, protecting Miranda from the raccoon when they first saw it, right? But every time I created it, it looked like Max the dog was about to attack Miranda. And I couldn't get him to stop looking at Miranda with his angry face. I wanted to look at the raccoon with the angry face. And it was one of those things where AI is not perfect, y'all. I mean, I was trying to tell it, look down, look at the raccoon. Don't look at the girl. I'm like, oh my God, what do I need to tell you? So there's still some quirks around that. That's just one example of one small thing that I wanted to change. That if it did change it, all of a sudden it added like a platypus. I'm like, where did this come from? Why'd you add a platypus? Take that out. So it is challenging. It takes patience and it takes a little creativity.
It does. I got to tell you guys, I love it for marketing stuff. I use it to write the promo for the show. I have also I keep knocking things over trying to get to my screen here. I created this with AI. I told it these are the pillars of my brand. I want to offer some services. I did have to take it to Canva and tweak it a bit because it had some weird stuff in the like headline and about section. Instead of section, it said something weird. And so I just covered it. You guys know headline and about, you know what that means. And so while it wasn't perfect, it was perfect enough for me to tweak it and make it mine. Um, but guys, you can really save a ton of time. Do I think you should do it for your picture? Maybe not. I will tell you this was also an AI generated image. It had another human on there completely. And I was like, who is that human? It also had the worst Venn diagram I've ever seen above that chart. And so I made my own little Venn diagram symbol to cover it up. I played with it, guys. I added my face. I grabbed the human that it had plugged in, that AI person, and I took it off and put me on there. It's fun to use, but like you said, it's not perfect. You're going to have to play with it, but you can use it for some basics. How long would it have taken me to get the colors overlapping behind me to this way, in this way in Canva? I don't know, 5 minutes, Felipe, maybe, right? But to have it go, hey, take what you know about me and create a couple marketing images, it took 30 seconds. And then I had 10 of them. Go ahead. You were going to say something.
Oh no, I was just saying. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Canva is a great tool, and I do a lot of editing on Canva because sometimes it will basically take the image and you're like, oh, I like the image, but I don't like what's around it. So whether you're removing it or you're adding to it, I definitely use Canva to enhance AI sometimes. Absolutely.
Yeah. How often do you think your toolbox consists like what's in your toolbox? Let me ask that question. What are you using consistently for your brand?
Consistently, okay. Well, obviously, I'm using Canva. I do use CapCut sometimes for videos. I use iMovie. iMovie was my first movie editing tool that is just, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but when it comes to editing a movie and making it look good, it does a really good job, and it's free. And then also obviously ChatGPT. I do have my notes pad, as you know, for all my content. And then a lot of it is, some of it is manual. Some of it is me drawing things out that I want to do and then creating an image out of that. And then I also have my my internal board of directors, I call them. They are they're my family and some close friends that I always say, okay, what do you think? What's your initial reaction on this? What are your thoughts? And they are brutal. They are brutal. And I love it when there's a difference in generation or a difference in gender opinions. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I didn't see that. So that's a huge one that I always encourage people. Don't assume you thought of everything. Get other people's opinions before you put something out. Sometimes if it's a big thing, not like every little thing, you can't do that. But if it's like my book, I wanted my daughter to read it because it was about her. I wanted my wife's opinion. I wanted other people's opinion that are good writers. My sister's a great writer, so I wanted her opinion. So there's key people that I will have look at things that are big projects, and I think that's a huge part of your toolbox. And then I think the last thing I think I would say is, well, no, ChatGPT. ChatGPT has taken a lot of the tools I used to have and combined it into one. It really has.
It's helped a ton. I do pay for mine. I upgraded, oh, I don't know, a couple weeks ago to make
I
sure
just
that I could
upgraded
do some
last
stuff.
week.
Yeah. And honestly, it's a game changer. It really not having the limitations made me really dive into it. I went in, guys, just so you can know, to my profile. And I was like, you know what? I never talk effectively about myself. I am a human too. Lots of us struggle with this. I can help you with your resume and profile all day long. When it comes to mine, I'm like, I've never done this in my whole life, it feels like, right? And that's not true. But I get to that roadblock. And so I went to ChatGPT and I said, hey, I want you to help me revamp my resume. I want you to help me revamp my profile. And so I said, use the job descriptions that exist on the internet to bolster my job description. And what I did, right? And I walked through it all. I probably spent a day, like on and off, taking breaks, coming back, rereading it after a while. And truthfully, it's a game changer. The jobs, LinkedIn's always like, hey, are you looking for work? I'm like, no, but I like to look for new features all the time. So I go through every facet of LinkedIn. I don't know about you, Felipe, but I love to tap through almost daily. Like, what is the function? And it started giving me some crazy job recommendations. One of them was like head of customer success for Hasbro. I was like, yeah, you understand me now, buddy. You get it. You get it, because it wasn't getting it before, but it was my own hurdle. So I used ChatGPT as my coach. Now, if you don't know how to use ChatGPT, it might feel really like an uphill battle, but it's simple to sit down with somebody for 15 minutes and go, let me show you what I did. Felipe, have you ever done that? How long does it take you to revamp something like that when you're looking to just like really add value or meat on the bone? And you're muted again.
No, and to revamp something and add value, sometimes it takes longer than creating something from scratch, because when you're creating from scratch, you kind of have a lot to play with, I feel like. But when you're revamping something, sometimes it's challenging because you're taking something that's already created and adding to it. Now, if that's what you're asking, is that what you were asking, kind of, or no?
Yeah, I mean, I if I had to write a resume from scratch, it probably would have been easier to then like genuinely just take a blank template from somewhere and say, use the job description online to put this in there and just copy paste. It probably would have been faster because it kept trying to blend both worlds. And so then I said, well, that doesn't sound like me. I don't want to go in the meeting and sound completely different either, because that's not who I am. And so it did. It took me almost a whole day to get it exactly the way I would want it to represent me without losing my tone, my personality, or the value of what I've done in the businesses. But guys, I only wanted to share that because we can write. I don't know if you heard, but he was in the books too, right? So we know we can do it. However, we do other things faster, quicker, better, and we like to have assistance on some of the stuff, right? And it doesn't mean that it's writing all the content, but it's easy for me to go to ChatGPT and say, I don't like the way I said this. Give me a couple other options, and have it at least create some ideas or give me something else to like pull from to revamp it on my own. I don't know. Also, hey, Felipe, this is cute. Look at what Gregory says. It feels like the summer
Oh,
sessions of career
that's
chaos
cute.
coaching.
Well, and one
Listen,
thing I
we're
want to
kind
add
of
real
excited to get back to it too. But guys, if you want to join, come up. It doesn't have to just be the two of us at all. Or, we're talking about it, but I'm happy to have you come share what's in your toolbox. How are you moving your needle forward on this platform? We only have a few more minutes before I want to close with the song and all the fun stuff, but go ahead and join us if you want. Go ahead, Felipe.
No, I was just say, with resumes, I always, I just touch on that real quick. I always caution people to be careful about letting it write everything for you if it doesn't sound like you, because a lot of people will write things, will have ChatGPT write things for you, and when they're asked about what they wrote, they won't be able to speak to it because it wasn't their own words. And so I always want to make sure that you are reading what comes out of there, and let chat. What I always say is when I write something, I will take a section of it and drop it in the ChatGPT and say, make this sound better. Or, if I write a sentence in my resume, I'm like, I want to sound like I did more than just that. How can I make this sound better with proving or showing that I've actually taken action in this project, whatever it is. So I think there's a lot of benefit to that. And the last thing I'll say is this. If you're going to invest, Melissa and I just talked about how we invested in ChatGPT. She's invested in StreamYard. If you're like Mark Cuban said, if you're obsessed about it and you're thinking about it and you want to do it constantly, then do it. I waited. I mean, ChatGPT's been around for how long now? 2 years, 3 years, 2 years roughly, right? Houston.
I have no idea.
All right.
I
Well, and so for 2 years, I've been using the free version. Now, the fact that I have been able to pay for it now, I realize, okay, there's deep research, there's more consistency, there's better imagery, there's a lot of other things that come with it that I'm going to now dive into and learn, and it's just going to be another added toolbox feature now. But it's going to
see.
get pick when
I
you
love
want to
what you said
invest.
because honestly, guys, before I forget, because that's why I had to say it. If you don't read it, you're gonna fail yourself, and this is why. I have seen the resumes cross my desk literally this week that say, "Here's this stuff. It looks good. I don't care if you use ChatGPT. I really don't." But at at the bottom it says, "Insert achievements and recommendations here." Behind something they put, like they didn't read it again. And so ChatGPT had actually prompted them to do more work and they failed to read through what ChatGPT put out. And I could tell. And for me, that was my problem. Not so much that they used it, but they didn't use it and then read it. If you don't read what it's putting out, you're letting something else do the work. And I don't want to hire somebody who's already not doing their job. No offense, right? Like just your job is to send me a finished product. And so thinking through that, what happens if they got it wrong? Or what happens if it put in a line that you weren't expecting and it says like, oh, and you have bad hair or something, and then a person has to read that in your resume and you don't know it's there because you didn't read it. I mean, Felipe, what is the craziest thing you've seen on a resume where you're like, oh, they definitely didn't proofread that? And then I want to say
Oh,
hi to Aaron because I want to know about his tech stack too.
okay, and two things. One, I want to show you. I just sent you two pictures. The second one actually looks more like me, but I look too old and I don't like the goatee. But anyways, so the biggest mistake I ever saw was when somebody they wrote on the cover letter and in their objective on the resume, I am highly interested in joining your company of ABC as your project manager, because of blah blah blah. Unfortunately, our company was XYZ, not ABC. And so when you are paying attention, pay attention to where you're applying. That's a big faux pas in my eyes. Another thing is, I inspect what I expect. And if I see that someone worked somewhere where I worked previously, or I know someone that worked there, I may reach out and say, "Hey, what did you think of this guy or this girl that worked there? Were they good?" And then I find out sometimes this happened for a lot of people for like a year. People were trying to do this. Found out that they never even worked there. They were lying. They were flat out lying on the resume, completely 100%, assuming that people were not going to check references. And I'm like,
Oh,
wow.
oh, please know those background checks include employment verifications these days, guys. Please know that's what I did for a decade, and it will come out. And once it comes out, you're tarnished because you'll end up on the news. Somebody's going to tell somebody, and then you'll see them. If you just Google CEO, fake credentials, CEO arrested for crime, like you'll see some stuff. I've had some crazy stories. I don't want to get into it because I'll lose my time, and I got to keep it under 2 hours. But Felipe, I love that share. Aaron, tech stack. Let's talk about it. How are you doing? What are you using? What do you think makes your business function? How are you taking it from dream to do?
Well, I use about 12 different apps when I'm producing one of my videos. It depends on what the requirement is, but I mean, I'm using everything from faceovers in AI to improving imagery and quality of music with AI. Most of the songs that I put through, I actually put through it's an artificial intelligence high definition that literally goes in and really tweaks things up to make them crystal clear, and it makes the scenery really fluid. Which apps am I using? I'm using similar to everybody out there. I'm not actually using Canva though. That's the funny thing. I actually use CapCut. I don't know why I called it CapCut, but CapCut I use for almost all my editing stuff, and then I use other apps such as Reface, which is that ability to like take your face and put it in on somebody else. And then, yeah, I'm using too many, I think.
There's no such thing as too many if it works, guys, but it's got to be something that's functional for you. And if it felt overwhelming, I would yell at them and be like, no, find apps that do more than one thing at one time. But I think sharing what works for us can help. And it doesn't mean you need 12 to go make a video. Felipe, also, can I just tell you, the photo you just sent me, guys, I want him to post it so bad. And you know what?
Which one,
I
though?
gotta,
Which one?
no, hold on. I'm going to tell you. It's the first one. The first one is more us than anything.
Which one's the first one? I can't tell. The goatee or no goatee?
The one with the goatee.
I know, it looks more like us, doesn't it? I just look old
Why
as
are you
dirt.
mad? I don't even care.
Do
Why
I
are
look
you
that
mad?
old?
Yeah.
I'm giggling because
And I have that chubby face.
I'm giggling because I seen a photo of Felipe, which I actually used some AI on to send back to Melissa. She still has that photo. It has
Oh,
not been
Listen, I
circulated
have seen
publicly.
some. I may have also created an image of Felipe using some Canva skill sets where I took a photo of him with long hair and put him in a field with a horsey, and he doesn't want me to share it with you
God,
guys.
no! Don't share that one. I want to see yours, Aaron. Aaron, yours. I'm curious about the field. I think I was riding a freaking unicorn with rainbows in the background. I don't know what the hell she had me doing, but
He looks like he could have been Fabio in the 90s on a book.
I had you looking like a knight.
What? Oh, that. Oh, I want to see that. Oh, please send it to me.
No. Okay. Cool. Anyway, wait, hold on.
One thing, Houston. Can I say one thing about one caveat about Aaron's comment about not having too many apps? As long as they're free. Don't be that person that's paying for like 25 apps and you're draining your bank account. Make sure that you're using the investment.
That was part of Mark's thing, right? Low investment, guys. You need a phone. Do the free stuff until you know you love it. Until you really are like, no, this is a brand pillar. Now I invest. And it goes back to what Mark said, right? Know your core competencies and then pay for them. Once you know this is going to be one of my things that I'm going to use all the time, then you do it. And I don't remember where it is. I was trying to find it here, right here. Know your core competencies and pay. Wow, I did. I quoted effectively. So just, use it first and then invest. And then watch your stuff. Assess your payments. Look at your bills, because sometimes we do free samples and we forget. Other times you get so many different things and you're like, oh my gosh, I paid for that a year ago and I didn't even know. And it does the same thing I'm paying for over here. So be careful. Gregory, welcome to the stage. What tech are you using?
Hello. Can everybody hear me?
We can.
Okay, just checking. Okay, busy stage, literally, figuratively. I'm just basically, I will say, using Grammarly for spelling and grammar and flow and all that type of jazz, mixed in with some Chat GPT for research, a little bit of Gemini via Google, I think it is, plus a dash of Perplexity on the side for AI type of tools and all that type of stuff. And basically, I will say on this platform, basically doing a lot of posting of stuff on Thursday or Friday, 3 posts in 1 hour, and then did a couple of posts did couple posts on Friday yesterday and stuff. So basically I'm in a job search group, and that's one of my goals is to basically put like 3 to 6 posts on this platform in a given week and stuff. So that's just to get basically somewhat noticed and stuff.
Yeah.
Use that.
And so hold on real quick, Gregory. So what you're using is LinkedIn, Grammarly, and what were the others?
Okay.
Sorry, I don't know if you could just give me the names. I'm just trying to keep notes here.
A little bit of Chat GPT, a little bit of, I will say, a lot of Gemini AI from Google, from the Google platform, and a dash of Perplexity and stuff. So yeah, so that's what. Oh yeah, so just basically, yeah.
I'm going to tell them out here in the crowd, guys, if you're not trying different AI versions, I highly recommend it. And this is something that a lot of people are using, and it's part of the conversation today because it is everywhere. It's in retail. We're using it every day. In corporate, guys, it's helping so much. Some of the functionality, especially if you're using paid in the business at a higher level, Gemini has come out with some fantastic stuff. They have a new agent in ChatGPT now that you can use. It's for the paid models. You can really get some cool stuff done if you're functioning in a role like an assistant role. If you genuinely consider it another human of your business, and I know that's kind of weird, but really think about it like Rosie the robot from the Jetsons, right? It's a part of the family. It's somebody or something or a tool that can help you get it done, just as if you had a partner sitting next to you in human form doing it. And actually, I have found ChatGPT to be less distracting than some of my friends I've done work with. But there are so many others. Gemini is one we're using in the retail environment. And I got to tell you, one of my favorite functions is to go in and say, I was struggling with some of my new team has never been in an office setting. And so phone etiquette and customer service, things that by nature I was trained to do. I mean, I posted about being 5 and set up with a TV tray and a notepad for my grandma's naps. I didn't have time to really sit down and do a lesson on it like I would have wanted. And so I said, hey, Gemini, can you help me come up with a phone script for this type of environment? Can you give me some customer service examples that can show them how to treat the customer on the phone and what to do if they are lost? How to ask for a manager, how to put the customer on hold, that kind of thing. And it gave me a template. And I was able to just have everybody read over and just like ask me questions and we could talk about it and do a role play a little bit, but I didn't have to build it from the ground down. And it took me less than 5 minutes to build out that outline. And so guys, play with it, but then don't just use one, use all of them because they're all doing different things for different reasons. I know a lot of people are out here using it to code. They're out there using it to create or action in their business, from flyers and outlines and business plans and marketing concepts. There's so many ways you can play. You can even ask it, hey, like maybe you use it for job search in your resume. You can say, hey, ChatGPT, now that we finished reviewing my resume and I think it looks great, can you actually criticize it for me, nitpick it? I will ask it, hey, did you make it good for all of your friends to read? I want it to be effectively read by an applicant tracking system, by AI, by Indeed, and formatted for LinkedIn as well. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. And it redid the work. So don't be scared to ask it questions and ask it to give you prompts back, things to consider. What should I consider about my resume I haven't yet? Not many of your tools will allow you to ask it questions like that for assessment. And so maybe add it to your toolbox, maybe use it in a different way, but don't be alone. The other thing I really want to say, and all of these people on the platform that came up here today to share and talk, thank you so much for that. But genuinely, the reason I know any of these people is because they show up. They're not alone. They don't let you be alone. They have their own shows. They have their own platforms. They speak to what they care about, their passions, their obsessions, right? And they do it with their friends, and then they support each other along the way. And so you need to make sure you're finding community, whatever that looks like for you. It can be here on LinkedIn, it could be on Facebook, it could be on YouTube, it could be local, it could be in your church, it could be in your business. Start a small group over lunch. Once a month you do a lunch and learn. It's really up to you. The whole point of what I like to do is document and then act. Whatever you really think matters, write it down. Get a plan, make some space. If you need help, I got it. If you're in Arizona, I'm coming. I'll be there. August 3rd through the 4th through the 6th, I'm available to meet. So if you want to meet, if you want to hang out with the emotional women, if you want to do something with your business and communication, you want us to come speak at your do a lunch and learn, do you want us to read the books, the chapters, talk to people, we're here. Let us know. Otherwise, though, guys, thanks for coming. We're here every week. I'm going to be back next weekend. I don't know where I'll be. Pretty sure that's the day before the trip, and so I'll be super excited. If you have an idea or a topic you want me to cover, let me know. Otherwise, guys, I'm out of here. We're going to leave on the song we started with. Go check out Social Saturday Chat. Felipe is going to be over there with friends in about an hour. That's where it all started for me. Social Saturday Chat, or Social Saturday, and then chats came not long after, and everybody's been hanging out, and it's been a blast. Thanks for coming. See you next time.
creeps through my window pane. Dreams of stars, now a faint refrain. Coffee brews and thoughts collide in this early morning ride. Wake up world, let's start the day. Insight flows in a bright array. Questions dance like morning dew. In this space, it's me and you. Coffee chats with Melissa. Every cup is a whisper. Conversations open door. Spilling thoughts forevermore. Ideas bubble crisp and bright.